this is going to be the first of 4 trainings. So we really want to provide ample training on how to access, utilize all the different tools and resources that are going to be available through this hub. And so Megan, we did do a quick run through this morning of just kind of showing the hub and the different components, collections, groups, but we didn't really dive into too much detail. Okay, so I'm going to go on ahead and pass it off to her, and she will go on ahead and start our training. Thank you again for being here, Megan.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Always nice to work with another Megan. And thanks for having me, everybody. It's been really exciting working on this project so far. And what we're going to share with you today is kind of our best thinking up to this point, but really, we see you all as our collaborators and co-designers and co-creators in this work. So really eager to hear your thoughts and get a chance to learn from you all and what you hope to accomplish with your work in OER. So hopefully you're all inspired from this morning's activities and ready to jump in. So I have a few slides I just kind of want to share before we actually dig into the library and the hub. And so I'm going to go ahead and share those. And actually, before I do that, let me introduce myself. I'm so excited to jump in. I forgot to say hi. So my name is Megan Simmons, and I lead what we call our field building work in our OER work, which is really all of the trainings and events and outreach and fun strategic planning that we do to support the different OER initiatives that we partner on throughout the world. And ISKME is the organization that I work for. It stands for the Institute for the Study of Knowledge Management and Education, which I know is a mouthful, so ISKME for short. But we have that really long name because we initially started out as a research institute looking deeply and studying how knowledge is shared across educational institutions and entities. And through that research, we found a real need to support knowledge sharing across different education stakeholders. And in 2007, the Hewlett Foundation asked us to and funded us to create a digital library where people could access these wonderful open educational resources that lots of folks like you all in higher ed were sharing their open courseware and recorded lectures and syllabi and things like that. So that's what we started doing in 2007. And then over the years, and I came on to ISKME in 2008, so just after we launched our library. And over the years, we've really expanded our supports. So going beyond the library to more collaborative tools and authoring and design. So we do a lot in the education space, especially with OER. We still have a research side to our work. So if that's something you're interested, I'm always excited to share, what we're doing there and, links to the different papers and whatnot that our team has published. And we also have a technical side to our team. So we have a bunch of wonderful designers and developers and digital librarians who are doing all this wonderful work for our digital libraries. And then there's me and my team who does all the help in the field and, supporting and learning from folks like you. So that's kind of who we are as your partners in this work. And like I said, this is an opportunity for us to learn more from you. This is the first time that we've worked in rural Arizona. We have a project with Career and Technical Education Arizona folks. So this isn't our first time working in Arizona, but really excited to learn from you all and what you hope to accomplish through this work. So with that, that's a little bit about me. And here's, I'll share some slides just to kind of introduce what we're going to do together over the next 90 minutes or so. First and foremost, always want to connect and get to know each other. So we'll have opportunities to do that coming up. And then, I really am curious to learn more about your OER goals, needs, and priorities. And then we'll have plenty of time to jump into how we can utilize all these tools to not only find resources, but start to curate them or organize them. So you'll have an opportunity to put on your digital librarian hat today. We'll show you some of these collaborative tools and get you involved in some groups where you can, I have curate here twice. That's how important it is. And of course, share. So that's the plan for today. And I wanted to just take a moment to, kind of center us around what our goals are here. I know you've probably talked and reflected a lot about that today, but as a way just to learn a little bit more about you all, I wanted to share our shared goal, which is to create and share OER throughout rural Arizona, saving students money. But then I'm curious to know from you your individual goal. So what do you all hope to learn and or accomplish with OER? And you can't be wrong. I'm just really curious if you could take a moment to reflect and share and chat what you're hoping to do with open educational resources in your work and on your campuses. So I can see some folks already in chat. So take a moment just to share whatever thoughts you have around what you're hoping to either learn or accomplish. And I know some of you are already doing some of this work. So anything you'd like to share would be most welcome. Thanks, Julia and Stacy, for kicking it off in there. That's great. You're going to be supporting faculty, get engaged in this work. Stacy's helping out with math. Awesome. Oh, thanks for sharing that, Erin. Kind of reframing how you talked about OER. Yeah, the advocacy piece and leadership piece is so huge here. And it's nice to, keep track of what resonates with you, because maybe that'll help as you're spreading the message on your campuses. Great. So some of you are writing your own and creating your own OER. Some of you are looking for OER. It's great to see a lot of the interest around promoting awareness and best practices. I love to see that. Got some math people here. That's awesome. Hopefully we can find some good math resources today. Great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Devin, some of the challenges that you're facing. I know it's hard to find the perfect textbook or perfect course. I don't know if it exists. Maybe y'all create it. Yes, open pedagogy. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Abigail. Yeah, that's an area of interest that quite a few folks are eager to explore in higher ed. So we have some resources around that too I can point to. Yeah, and connecting with the students. I love that students are a part of this conversation too. Awesome. Well, yeah, if you haven't had a chance to just share any thoughts around what you hope to accomplish, please feel free. And I want to just share a little bit about, I know you have a good understanding of OER. You've heard about it all morning, but I also want to talk about what we call OEP, or open educational practice. And maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, or maybe you've heard this reference before, but with the OER world, a lot of people focus on the resources, which I think is so important. And that's definitely, crucial to this work. But the thing that I'm even more passionate about and what we're really eager to support are the shifts that we see around collaboration and some cultural changes that we see happen on campuses that adopt OER. And there's quite a few practices that kind of go along with, a department or a campus making the shift to OER or, actively, doing this work. And that's what we're interested in supporting you in as well. So here's just a few examples of what we mean by some of these practices. And we have, specific tools to support these areas within your hub that we want to explore together. But of course, collaboration is always number one. Having this opportunity to connect you all across campuses, really learn from each other and your diverse expertise, brainstorm ideas across, departments and courses, contribute resources and best practices. That was something that somebody shared in the chat. Of course, this wonderful opportunity for peer review and getting and giving feedback on not only the materials that you're creating, but maybe things that you're modifying or using. And of course, sharing, what's working and what maybe needs improvement within Arizona. And also our OER initiative is a global entity. So even though we're focused in Arizona, you are part of a global collaborative that's doing this work, which is super exciting. Curation is another big one practice that we see, of course, and I know we have some librarians here, so shout out to you all. You are our inspiration here, which is, how we identify, evaluate, organize, and share resources that meet our specific learning objectives. And we'll spend some time kind of, looking at this and exploring this, but this is kind of a different skill set that we see folks develop when they're adopting OER and, really thinking like a digital librarian and doing this deeper work to make sure that their course materials really align with their course objectives and who they are designing these courses for. The design piece is another big one. And I know we have a lot of folks here with instructional design expertise as well and course design expertise. So, this is where we're, creating these materials. We have things like authoring templates and guides and planning tools that help us do this deeper work to actually create or remix resources or modify resources that meet the unique needs of our learners. And in the spirit of, continuous improvement, there's this ongoing opportunity to reflect and then go back and edit your digital resources to, improve them over time. So we're really kind of moving away from that traditional publishing model to something more iterative and exciting to kind of evolve over time. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on the design piece this session, but as Megan mentioned, we will have more that we'll dedicate to the design, remixing, and authoring piece here. And then, as many of you have mentioned, and maybe some people don't always think about in the OER space, but the leadership and advocacy of this work is super important. And I loved how even some of you are getting, are thinking about, how you communicate this with students in addition to your colleagues. But this is all the wonderful, presentations, trainings, just, general sharing that we all do to help build awareness. So I'm curious from you all if you have, if you're kind of drawn to one of these practices, and there's more associated here. These are kind of the big ones that we look to support the best we can. But maybe just take a minute to think and share in chat which of these four, or if you want to add another, are you really hoping to advance in your current work? Are you really focused on collaboration? Are you leaning more towards design? Are you wanting to develop and advance your curation skills? Are you really focused on leadership? I would just love to get a sense of where your interests lie. So thanks, Linda and Shannon, for sharing where you're at. Yes, leading and building awareness. This is so important, especially in these beginning stages of this project. And curation, thanks, Abigail. Collaboration. Nice. Tara wants to do it all. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, thanks everybody. It's nice to see. Yeah, it seems like collaboration's a big one. Yeah, thanks, Devin. Okay, oh yeah. Oh, that's interesting around getting the hard copy. Oh, there's a whole, maybe that's for another day, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting models we're seeing for, working with your bookstore or your, printing department on campus to get those hard copies for folks that need them. But I know that is something that a lot of community colleges are putting in place too. Great. Oh, okay. So it's nice to see lots of interest here. So wonderful. You're in the right place. We're with the right people here. So now I want to transition to, looking more of these tools together. And like I said, I promise you'll have practice time here, but I want to kind of give you just an overview and then give you some time to do some exploration and collaboration and curation in the groups today. But just as an overview, so OER Commons is the digital library that we launched back in 2007. And as I mentioned, we've developed these collaborative and authoring tools over time. So really, our initial intention was to make a place and, use the best practices from library and information sciences to showcase these wonderful OER from leading providers and individual educators. And over time, we've really expanded our tool set to include tools for curating, adding additional descriptors and evaluation to resources, and also connecting and collaborating and sharing and creating together in groups and hubs. And then, as I mentioned, we also have authoring tools to support design and remixing and publishing of digital resources. I'll show you kind of where that lives in this world, but we won't go too far into design and remixing on this session. So I'm going to transition to our site, but before I do that, I just want to kind of give you a moment to kind of think of, before we jump into discovery, what are some of your courseware needs and priorities that you currently have? So I know some of you shared some of those in your goals. Oh, thanks, Megan, for putting the link in there. But I think sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming when we step into these, digital libraries. So just kind of think of, maybe there's a specific unit or course area that you'd really love to improve, or maybe there are particular types of resources that you want to bring in to enhance engagement in your course. So just want to give you, and yeah, thanks Linda for sharing in the chat. Feel free to share if you want, but just want to kind of give you a moment to think about that before we jump into discovery. So hopefully you have some specific needs and priorities that are top of mind for you for your course or your advocacy work, because we do have other support and professional learning resources in here too. So here we are in the library, and I know you've seen this before, so we can just do a quick introduction. But we have our search bar here, where this is what the majority of people do that come to the library. They will put in a keyword if it's cell biology, or maybe something more specific within cell biology. You can narrow it down into a particular subject area or even education level on this homepage here. So if we know we want lower division community college, we can do that. Standards are more for K-12, but we do have that support there as well. You can also do an advanced search. So you can, just search with a keyword, or you can get as detailed as you want. So you can search by educational use in addition to subject area. Like if you want things that are for professional development or things that have an assessment. You can also select specific material types. So I saw a few people mention that you're really interested in finding full courses or textbooks. So you can, tick those boxes if that's, what you're interested in. You can look for things that have member activity, and we'll see that as we're doing some exploration. Members can evaluate and rate and tag resources. You can also look at specific content sources for things that came from our authoring tool. If you want things that are student facing, or for teachers or administrators or for librarians, you can do that. There's more specifics you can get on the education level here. And for those of you that are looking for specific media formats for your courses or accessibility supports, you can also, click the things that you are interested in. And then if you want a specific type of open license, you can do that as well. And we have really tried to simplify, how licenses are described here. So we have, of course, things that are in the public domain and have Creative Commons license. And then we also have resources that have custom licenses for educational use or have some rights reserved. So there's lots you can do in advanced search too, to explore and find resources. But I also want to just kind of show you a breakdown of what the library looks like today. So here's, just the number of resources that we have for these different subject areas and material types. And we also have a list of providers. So these would be like our partners in the library who, have shared, a bulk, sometimes hundreds or maybe, thousands of resources, but some of them, are, 10 or 20. So if you're kind of interested in, who are these partners and providers in this library, you can see that there. And I know some of you librarians might be interested in that. And then if you're interested in kind of seeing some specific collections or what's new on the library, you can look here. These are some collections that have been custom curated by our librarians. So there's lots you can do to explore. And let's see, since we had this cell biology need area, how about we do that quick search together? So cell biology, we know that is a life science. So I'll narrow that down, and let's say we're looking for community college. So I'll go ahead and do a quick search to see what we have here. And we got quite a few results. So we got 291, which is quite a bit to scroll through. And this is where I like to use the filter here on the left-hand side. So if I know I just want things that are for biology, then I can do that. And then it automatically updates. Oh wait, how did it go to 300? I don't know how that happened. It should be going down. And let's say I wanted, something that includes a lab. I can select that. And let's see. Okay, now we're down to 25. Okay, good. And, I can scroll through these 25 to see what looks good, or maybe I want to, also make sure there's something here that includes an interactive, or that has, a data set that we can explore. So you can kind of narrow it down through the filter as much as you want, and, keep going even, to licensing, content source, who the primary user is. So a lot of those advanced search, if you didn't want to use advanced search in the beginning, you can narrow it down through filtering. So let's say I find something that I'm interested in here. So let's see. This cell biology workbook looks kind of interesting to me. I'm not currently teaching biology, but just to kind of walk you through. So when you click on a resource, this is what you see. This is what we call the metadata page or the descriptive page of the resource. So I've got the description of what this is, here's the author. It was added to the library in October of 2020. Here's the license. So it has that attribution, non-commercial, share alike. You can see here, there's, this is where some of our users can add comments or, feedback to resources. So that's what that comment section is. Folks can add tags to the resource. If you want to add additional descriptors to help folks find it, you can do that. We have ways that you can evaluate resources using the Achieve rubric, which we won't get into today, but feel free to play around if you want. The endorsement is something that we have, you would need special permission to do, but we do have a rural Arizona endorsement, which basically means it gets the stamp of approval from the curation team for this project. So again, that's another thing we can talk about down the road. But other things we can do here is, we can go view the resource. We're just looking at the descriptor now. We can save it to either folders that we've created from our profile or groups that we belong to. And I'll show you more about that in our hub. You can remix this resource, it looks like, because this was created in our authoring tool. You can download it in different ways. Here you can see EPUB 3, which is what the accessibility experts that we work with say is really good for folks that are using screen readers and things like that. Of course, you can download it as a PDF or thin common cartridge, which is good if you are interested in bringing a resource into your LMS. And SCORM is, I guess, more for, I don't really use this one this much, but it's more for if you want kind of like HTML type formatting. That's what SCORM is good for. So there's lots of ways you can kind of, bring these resources in, and then you can also share this, via Twitter, WhatsApp, Pinterest if you want, or bring it into your classroom. And this little flag here is, this green one's for Google Classroom. The little flag is if you want to report this resource, maybe if you see a problem with it, or, there's an inaccuracy, or maybe a link that doesn't work or something like that. So there's a lot you can do just from the descriptor page, but let's go ahead and just view the resource so we can see. So this was something that was created in our authoring tool, and looks like it's a workbook that we can download. So that is, if that's something of interest to you, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah, that's kind of the the course of going through a search and finding something. So I wanted to just kind of share that because we will give you time to do some exploration. But before that, we want to point you to the hub. So I know you've had a look at this already, but here is our rural Arizona open textbook hub. And here is the link, and here's what we have so far, which is this beautiful logo, and we have a search bar here. So this is different than the general search for the whole library. If you want to search for just resources that have been curated for this particular hub, you can do that here. And we really think of the hubs as your own wing of the library. So this is a space where you can, basically customize collections and sections for your rural Arizona community. So that's what we've done here. And so there's a little learn about section here where we have information about this wonderful project and, the vision that we have for this work. We have some collections here that are still, in process. Oh, did somebody have a question? Maybe not. Maybe just some feedback. So here's where the team, the leadership and curation team is bringing in specific courses that have been created or used by our faculty in these Arizona colleges. So these will grow over time. This is just what we have today. So when you click on these, for example, physical science, you will see here, we just have one resource in here so far, but this will grow over time. This is a resource that Gino Romeo shared from Yavapai. And when we click view, it takes us to, this login here. So I don't know, Megan, if we want to share anything here. I know this was just added. So this, I guess you need a login for to access this particular resource.
I think the setting on the resource needs to be changed. It was just added. I think it was just added yesterday. So maybe we need to flip it to public. That's what
okay. Perfect.
So, yeah, definitely. We
I know.
Yeah,
we just added this one. So, but yeah, so this is what we would. This wasn't something that was created within the library. This is like what people call like a. We're referring this, so we're taking you to the Yavapai College site where this particular resource is housed. So for those of you that are interested in sharing things, you don't have to create stuff from scratch within the library. You can submit a link to your resource, but like for this one, we would just want to make sure that the settings are so anyone can access them. So maybe that's good that I showed that just to as a reminder that we need to make sure to check the settings. But in the other collections that we've curated, and we have, as I said, more to come. You'll see, resources from like this looks like this was something created in Pressbooks. So when you can see this one was endorsed by our curation team. That's how it shows up in our resources for the hub collections. But this one takes us to that Pressbook. So here we can see a little bit about Karen Palmer's text that she created and the licensing that she has here and the contents of the text. So you can share things in, any way you want, just make sure that, the links and settings are so that folks can access them easily. So that's what we have in our collections. And as I said, these will grow over time. Hopefully you all have, resources that you are wanting to share with the community. And so underneath the collections, we have our groups. And these again will grow over time, where we kind of think of the collections as, vetted resources by the Arizona curation team who are, evaluating and endorsing these and making sure that they show up in these different collections. The groups are more of kind of the collaborative space where folks can come together to share resources, to create together, to start to organize them. So there's not a ton of, endorsement or, approval that needs to happen in here. It's more kind of the crowdsourced grassroots, seeing what actually is happening across the different content areas. So these don't have a ton in here yet, but we'll have time to join these and add resources that you'll explore on the library today. But we started kind of playing around in arts and humanities. Some of the folks there were looking for Indigenous, Native American resources for their courses. So when you click on a group and you want to join, this green bar here will say, asked to join this group or join this group depending on the group settings. And if you need approval, the group administrators will give you approval. What you can do in here and what most folks do in here is curate resources together. So you can see here we created a folder here and started adding resources that we were interested in sharing for that particular course area. But anyone who's a group member can add a folder or a subfolder to start to curate and organize resources together. So that's something that you can do today. Also, you can contribute in other ways. So like the folks that contributed their press books, you can submit links from the web. So if you have an existing resource on your campus website, or maybe a personal or department website, you can enter the URL here and then give a description of the resource and then submit it. And basically what happens there is our team will have an opportunity, our librarians will take a look at the resource, and if everything looks good, then they'll go ahead and approve it. If they have any questions, they'll follow up. You can also get right into the authoring tool. And like I said, we're not going to go too far here, but when you click that open author, it basically takes you into the blank authoring tool where you can add co-authors if you want to work with folks. You can, create your title, add a title image, add a section name, and actually start to, you can copy paste or start writing your resource. You can import from Google Docs or OneDrive. You can attach resources like we saw that workbook did. You can add instructor notes. So there's a lot you can do in the editor, and it has this WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get that maybe you've used on other digital authoring tools, but some great ways to, embed images, tables, videos. If you want, for you math folks, there's ways that you can write math equations here as well. Add hyperlinks, and we have this fun little accessibility checker that basically goes through your resource and will flag anything that needs to be modified so that a screen reader can easily read your resource. So it's usually formatting things or describing images, but it's a really good thing to do to make your resources accessible. Oh, great, Tina. Yeah, thanks for the question. Is there a way to share an entire Canvas course? Yes, everything is possible. And, some ways that folks have done that is by, looking at the settings in your Canvas course, and if that is possible to share it, as a link, or I know some folks have downloaded components of their course and then uploaded them into the authoring tool. So depending on kind of what the state is of your course and how you want to share it. I know some folks don't want to share like their test banks and things like that. So they just want to share pieces of their course. We can, kind of look at that case by case, but yeah, especially when we get into the design work, it'd be great to bring, ideas that you have for how you want to share, and we can dig through that a little bit deeper. Yeah, there's a lot we can do. I know I've been talking a lot. I don't want to overwhelm folks, yeah, I'm excited to work on the design piece with you all. So those are some of the things you can do in the group. Another thing is you can have discussions. So if you wanted to get feedback or something, or ask for support, or share something with this particular group, you can do that by starting a discussion, and then folks can reply to it. You can make it so anyone can see the discussion, or only your group members. If you want something a little bit more private, that's up to you. You can see who the members are of this group. Looks like Melody just asked to join. I'll leave that to to Megan and the other group administrators to approve, but this is what it looks like if you're a group administrator. You can approve folks that ask to join. And then there's a little bit of information about the group here, and then you can see the recent activity. So you can see, I've been kind of playing around in here so far. So that is, one of the groups, and we hope that you will join a group for the subject area that you work through. Okay, thanks. Oh yeah, Megan's approving y'all. So I can help with that too, Megan, if it's a lot, because we do have quite a few groups. So hopefully all of you can find a group to join, and if you need the link to the groups, there it is. You do need to be logged in to ask to join a group. So if you haven't created a login yet, it's really quick. You just fill out the registration form, and then you'll get a confirmation email. So if you're not logged in, it's up in the right hand side here to register. But we're hoping that you will all find a group, a home within the hub. And, we have these different groups for the subject areas and course areas. And then we also have created some newer groups for OER best practices. And you all just gave me an idea to add a new folder for open pedagogy. So this is where we are adding some of these professional learning resources for you all that folks are asking for in other sessions that I've had with our community. They've asked for more resources around licensing and permission. So we created a group and added this permissions guide for educators here that really walks you through copyright and fair use, and understanding permissions, and even has some language around how to reach out and ask for permission. We worked with copyright lawyers to create this guide. So it's a good resource for those of you that are interested in copyright and open licensing. We also have some quality evaluation tools, since that was something that we've been looking at with folks around, what is high quality? And there's a couple different rubrics and tools that other folks have used in their work to, just look at general quality of OER, but also things like, looking through the lens of equity and diversity and inclusion, screening for bias, an accessibility checklist and toolkit. So there's some good stuff in there as well. So we want to invite you all to join this group as well. You can see we have 12 members so far, which is awesome. But this is where we'll be sharing more kind of OER focused resources that we, want to share, and also that maybe you find and think are helpful as you're leading and advocating for this work on your campuses. So if you are interested in joining this group, which I hope you are, here's a link to it. And, I don't think you need approval to join this one. It's just kind of open to whoever. And, feel free to create folders for new things that you want to add resources to. It's totally up to you. And the way that we populate resources into these groups is by clicking that save button. So when you find a resource that you think would be good or relevant to your particular group, you click save. And then, sorry, I have a lot of groups here. So yours will be a lot prettier than mine. So let's say that I want to save this. I'll delete it, but this will just be for the example. Let's say that I want to share this with our OER best practices group. And I can create a new folder. So if I know that, I want something for, workbooks, I can do that and then select my particular group. Sorry, I have so many groups. You can see I have a lot of projects happening. So yours will be a lot prettier than mine. So I want to add this to the OER best practices group. So I just created a new folder right here, create and save. You can always save to an existing folder. And then when I refresh the group, hopefully, yep, there it is, my workbooks resource with that particular biology. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this because I don't want to mess up our group, but just to show you how that workflow works. So that's one of the general ones. We want to encourage everybody to join so you can stay connected with OER best practices and tools that we're creating and sharing to lead this work. There's also an Arizona librarian group that we recently created based off of a request from some folks. So that's there as well. And yeah, if you have ideas for other groups we should create, please let us know. We want to grow these groups in this community over time. And just a last couple things before I send you on your way to do some exploration is we have these general OER collections that we have brought in that have been curated by our OER librarians. So these are some of the greatest hits that folks like you all have been asking for more complete courses or texts. So we have, these are from specific providers. So I know some of you mentioned OpenStax. We've got Pressbooks collection in here too, Wikibooks, Lumen Learning. And so when you click on that particular collection, these are pretty big. So you can narrow them down by adding a keyword. Like let's say that I know I want this for, what was it? Business calculus was one of the things that I saw. And so I can search within this collection for business calculus. Maybe just calculus is good. Did I even, maybe I spelled that wrong. Oh no, okay, good. I was like, oh man, I'm blowing it here. It's been a while since I've taken calculus, but it looks like we have 7 calculus resources here. You know, you can also do the filtering here, but that's one way that you can kind of narrow down some of the larger textbooks providers there that we have showcased in the hub. And then the last thing I wanted to just share at the very, very bottom in our hub is are some videos for authoring. So this is just a 5-minute little tutorial around how to use the authoring tool and remixing tool. Here's a short little video on searching and saving content and importing from Google Docs. And then we have a few just tools that we've highlighted down below. Here's, and I know some of you mentioned Canvas, so if you're interested in LTI integration, there's information on how to do that there. So, oh, I know I've been talking a lot and I went over a lot, but I wanted to kind of give you the lay of the land and then give you all time to do some searching on your own. So, yeah, Karen Palmer, maybe we can talk with Megan about that. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but we'll make sure that your resources, if that's an attribution thing where we need to make sure that they're linked to your profile, we can do that, no problem. But yeah, I want to give everybody some time to do some exploration. So let's take maybe 10 minutes just for some solo time to do some discovery, you know, use the search, advanced search, filter results. And if you find something that you'd like to share, I'd like to invite you to do that either in one of the content area groups or maybe in the best practices or a librarian group. But I want to just give you some time to actually practice. So I'm going to stop sharing and you know, just be here if you have any questions, but please take some time to do some discovery on your own, and then we'll see how we did. But I'm here if you have any questions, but I'll leave you to your search for now.
Thank you, Megan. And I know it was a lot of information. So please, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. And we'll be working on, you know, maybe creating or Megan, if you have like a 1-pager, how to join a group, you know, kind of the basics that we can share out, because it is a lot of information and it could be overwhelming. So
yes, I know, and I'm sorry if it was too much. We do have a little get started kit that we made in open author. It was for a different project, but I'll go ahead and share that in our best practices because we can remix it if we, I think it's called the starter kit. But it basically kind of walks through what we just did. We can modify it with links more relevant to you know, what we want to do together. But I'll go ahead and share this, and then I'll show you all what it looks like in case you want to use it as a reference, or you can remix it too for your own use as you're sharing this with folks. So here's what it looks like. I just saved it to our best practices group, but it's basically just a little resource that we created in open author that defines, you know, how we describe OER and open educational practices. And there's a couple little reflection and practice activities that we invite folks to do. So here's a link to it if you want to kind of follow along. I think it refers to a group out of New Jersey. So you can, you know, we can remix it and put in the, you know, a link to our groups. But if you, you know, need help, you know, registering and creating a profile, it has a link there. And then there's, we link to some help articles too, which if you're ever like, how do I do that? This little help icon has, you can search for, you know, if you're like, how do I, you know, join a group? You can search for that. And there's all these different resources that come up to help you use the groups or whatever it is you're interested. So yeah, this is something, I don't know, Megan, if we want to remix this, we can, but we created this to kind of help walk folks through the different kind of practices on their own time.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
And I put it in our best practices group. I didn't create a folder for it, but I just added it in there. So I guess we can call it we'll just call it the getting started. And you can edit all these too. So if you add something and it's not yet in a folder, you can always do it while you're in the group too. Oh, I gotta refresh. Okay, while you all are searching, I'm gonna add some open pedagogy resources here too. So, but does anybody have any questions? Are you doing okay? Are people finding what they need?
Hi, this is Karen. I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the questions, all of my resources I think are in the English thing, and we have a typo on the title of the Rough Riders Guide. So that was one reason I was asking if the resource is then linked to Sandy and I for our profile, then would we be able to edit that?
Yeah, that's a great point. So at any time you can go in and edit a resource that you publish. So for example, this one, I'm one of the authors, or I guess I'm the only author of this one. So I can click edit, and now I can, you know, make whatever changes to the different sections or titles. And then all I have to do is republish it. So I just click next once I've made my changes, and then click publish. So this is like the descriptor page of your resource with the licensing information and some of the you know, different descriptors. So yeah, so if Megan, I don't know if you can find Karen's or is it Karen?
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. So if we can find your resource, or if you want to share a link to it, we can make sure we get you.
I think everything on the English tab right now is it's all my stuff. And then there's something that's been added, but it's not English. It's not in the English tab. And because I'm not linked to it, I don't know how to add it to that tab. So I think that was just the main, rather than having Megan have to go in and do all of these things for me. I'm glad it's possible to link me to them so that I can make those changes and put things where they should be. Yes,
absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get you sorted. We might need some follow-up, but we'll make sure that and depending if do you mean all these English resources here?
Yes.
Okay. So if some of these it looks like you're attributed as the author, but it's not connected to your profile. So we can get that sorted for you.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, I'm like, Megan is awesome, but I don't want to make her have to do more work.
No, totally. Yeah. Well, and it's just nice, for you to have access to this, and, as anyone who wants to add resources, just to be able to go back and edit and make changes. But thanks for all these great contributions. You are the English and Writing collection.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. And moving forward, what we tried to do is we tried to get some resources that we already had in the hub, but moving forward, as faculty, you'll be able to load your materials here. And so then that way you'll automatically be linked as the author. We were just trying to get some of those materials in there. So thank you, Karen, for letting us put them on the hub. We'll get it situated so that you and Sandy is linked to your profile and you'll be able to have full access to edit everything.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, this is really neat. It's such a fun, I love the hub. It's really fun.
Oh, good. Yeah, you can see, yeah, we had this deadline, so we wanted to get stuff in, but it's, we still have work to do, but it's exciting to see it in place. Marcus, I can look into your profile. Let me I can have somebody from my team see what's up. But if you clicked on the confirmation email, you should be good to go. That's what activates it, so we know you're not a robot. And then Abigail, to save a bookmark, you can do that through your browser. That's not really something you need to do like on the site itself, but if you want to bookmark this link, you can do that depending on what browser you are using. So like I'm on Google Chrome right now, and so I can bookmark this if I want. Oh, funny. The only things I have right now bookmarked are like exercise videos I've never done. That gives you a little insight into my my world. I should probably update my bookmarks, but yeah, I don't know if you're using Chrome, but if you look on your browser, you should see an option to bookmark the links that you want. So let me know if you need help there. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, I know we are wrapping up on time. Do we have a hard stop, right, Megan, at what is it? We have about 30 more minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, about 30 more minutes.
Okay, great. Okay, I want to make sure we make the most of our time. So how are people doing on search? Are you finding what you need? Are you saving things to resources? Do you need more time? How's it going? You can feel free to unmute too if you're sick of using chat. It's nice to hear your voices too. I'll take your silence as you're totally in the search zone. So we'll give you, how about we take about 5 more minutes to do some searching, and then we'll and saving, and then we'll pause and share how that went. Yes, dive into the rabbit hole, Stacy, go for it. This is what this time is for. We wanted to give you practice, so please go for it.
Hey, Megan, how do we become a hub member? Because it looks like I need the exact URL to be able to get to the rural Arizona hub. I can't search it through hubs at the top. It says I'm not a member of any hub.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I forgot to mention that. So we haven't publicly launched the hub yet. So that's why it doesn't show up on the hubs. So the only way you can access it right now is through the link. So, so once you join a group, you will be a member of the hub. But for right now, the only way that people can find the hub is through that unique URL. So once we're ready to fully publicly launch, it will show up on that hubs page. But for now, it's just for us. We're in what we
do we know what that
beta.
date is? Do we know what that deadline's gonna be, or is it still in the ether somewhere?
I think we do have it. We did give ourselves a deadline.
Yeah, we wanted to publicly launch like this week, essentially. So this was kind of our final soft launch, as you could say. We wanted to collect feedback from more people. If there's any adjustments, any feedback that you have. So that's part of this session as well, getting training and also being able to collect that feedback. And then once we have that, we'll be able to launch it publicly.
Megan, there's a question from Devin in the chat. I don't know. I feel like you'd be better to answer it.
I'm still muted.
Oh, I was wondering. I thought you were just having a long pause.
Muted. So we're not going to be limiting it to just rural Arizona. So it is, once it's public, the hubs will be able to be searched by anyone. And so, but the idea is that it's kind of focusing all of the materials that are being developed for this consortium within the hub. So thinking of it as a mass library, And our hub is our wing that's just dedicated to, you know, our projects here, but they will be accessible to anyone.
That's funny, Luke. That's a Megan question and pretty much always be right.
There's
Megan
two
has
of
the
us here.
answers. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Tina, you can, depending on the settings you have for your Canvas resources, that's one thing that we saw from the Yavapai College link. I think we need to update those settings, but depending on what sharing settings you have from your Canvas, and if you want to share the link, we can kind of look into that deeper too, to make sure you're set up. Okay, awesome. Let's see when I click on it. Yeah, it looks like it's prompting me for a login. So. And we can, I know there's a lot of you that want to do this and there's already some stuff already in there. So we can dedicate future trainings to making sure that we have a really clear workflow for how that should look. Because I think I still have stuff to learn about that as well. So I'll learn right along with you. Devin, other hubs. Yeah, you know what's kind of interesting is there are, when you look at that all hubs page, there are quite a few, you know, higher ed hubs. And the cool thing is that like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. So if you see things on other hubs or in their groups that resources that you want to, you know, share in your group, you can do that. And so if it's okay with everybody, maybe I'll just share that because it's kind of nice to get some inspiration too on what other folks that have been doing this work at community colleges have done. So here's that, I just clicked on that all hubs page. So you can, as was mentioned, when you're logged in, you can see what hubs you're a member of. Then you can also see all of the hubs. And so Arizona's not here yet, but maybe in a couple days, all we have to do is basically just like flip a switch to have it show up. But there's some really inspiring work that's, you know, happening here across, you know, different subject areas or, you know, state initiatives or regions like California Community College is one that might be interesting for you all to check out. They had kind of a different way that they've structured things and they're kind of in the process of revamping things, but they have their collections from different providers here. And then they actually have individual college groups, and there are 117 community colleges in California. So we did tabs alphabetically since there's so many. But if you see here, we're actually doing some work right now with Compton College. And so in here we have 21 members who are curating. So far they've curated 72 resources for different course areas. And they're also doing a bunch of leadership work too. So they have some, you know, other resources that they're organizing and sharing here. So if you're interested in kind of poking around and seeing, I will just say not all 172 colleges are super active. Some are more than others, but that's how they decided to, you know, structure their group. And then they have some collaboration that's happening across colleges. And one of them is this Community College Consortium for OER group, where they got some funding to work with cohorts in California on a grant to make their classrooms anti-racist. So part of this project is they get training from experts in this field and then create a capstone project with an action plan and course materials for creating an anti-racist classroom. So kind of an interesting example of, you know, how folks are coming together to create things. And we created a template for them to do this work because they, in the first year of this grant, they kind of, a lot of them just kind of uploaded things and they wanted a little bit more structure. So we created a template that they're inviting everyone to remix, to share their action plan, information about their course and their specific module that they're doing. That is, you know, their capstone project from this anti-racist work. So that's kind of cool. And so everybody, you know, that's a part of this will click remix and add their information when they're ready. So that's something kind of interesting that's happening in California community colleges. And also, speaking of students, they have a student advocacy group that's kind of cool, that's advocating for OER on the campuses. And so they have a group here on the hub where they are sharing the materials that they're curating and creating to advocate for OER on their campuses. So this is all student run, and they have, you know, different folders for, you know, email templates, faculty support, marketing. So student toolkit. This is actually something that they are, you know, still in draft mode, but just to kind of see, you know, what other colleges are doing. So that's California, and they also have just more information about their hub here and this Open for Anti-Racist grant program, and a video from a student that shared and had a conversation with faculty at Compton Community College. This is a video of a presentation a faculty did on how they created their political science open textbook. So yeah, for inspiration from other colleges. Another one that's I wanted to just share that could be good inspiration. I mean, you're welcome to browse any of these, but Michigan Community Colleges also has an OER initiative where they are, oh, there they are, Michigan Colleges Online. So this is the 28 Michigan or community colleges in Michigan are, they did things a little different, kind of like you all. They created custom collections for their high enrollment courses that are their first priority in transferring to OER. So that's what they have here, kind of like what you all are doing. These are custom collections that they are curating to say, you know, this is what we recommend you use if you're a history faculty or math. Or so if you, you know, click on these and see anything that, you know, you're interested in, you can, you know, save them to your group directly from here. So to kind of, you know, you don't have to recreate the wheel here. But I wanted to just highlight Lansing Community College. They have an amazing, she actually transitioned to Michigan State University now, but Dr. Regina Gong was leading this work, and she was the librarian when they kicked off this initiative. And she did a bunch of curation for her faculty to present what she calls the buffet of OER. So like for her psychology and sociology faculty, she curated a bunch of resources, and then some of her faculty actually took sabbatical to create full textbooks that they shared here as well. This Tao of Positive Psychology by Mark Kelland is one of them. So for you psychology folks, he took his sabbatical to create this full text. So there's some good stuff in here too. So, you know, feel free to explore other hubs to get inspiration, or, you know, pull some of the things that they're doing as well. I think that's about it for ones I want to showcase for community college, but there is some great work too. There's this cyber citizenship hub. There's Nordic Health Hub that is sharing public health resources, which has been really interesting through the pandemic. They've created a lot of stuff. So there's some really interesting things here for you school librarians. There's a couple, there's a scholarly communication notebook, open science or open scholarship knowledge base. UNESCO has a hub, so University of Hawaii. They have an OER initiative across the UH and their community colleges. So yeah, sorry, I know I'm showing you a lot, but there's a lot here. Yes, if you want to download resources, when you find a resource, for example, this one, let's say I wanted to download this Tao of Positive Psychology. Since this was created in our authoring tool, I have that option to download. But you may come across things that are on other sites and not housed in the library that you may have to do some digging to see how you can download it. But if you share the resource, we can look at it together. Yes, we have resources from LibreText. So as long as the settings are so you can share them, feel free to submit those links.
And I can address Devin's question. So there's not really another hub for the entire state of Arizona. And so we were awarded grant funds for the project Open Textbooks for Rural Arizona, which is why the hub is called that, because it's tied to the funding that we're using for this project. However, it doesn't stop us from saying if there are courses that were developed through Pima or Maricopa and they're openly licensed, we can, bring them into our hub. That's totally doable. And also moving forward, future-wise, we're looking at, how could this potentially become a statewide initiative? Because I agree, the more robust we can make it, the better for our students. But right now, the funding is tying it to Open Textbooks for Rural Arizona because that's the grant we received. So it's kind of this balancing act of, tying it to our funding, but then also, how can we expand? But I do see this, it could become a statewide initiative, and that would be absolutely amazing.
Yes, and I love that thinking around, that you all are so wonderful. You're not just focused on your own little section of the world. You want to share beyond, which I love. And in addition to hubs, which we refer to as like our wings of the OER Commons library, we also have microsites, which are basically like if someone wants to create their own version, or we would call it, like, we kind of refer to it as like the branches of OER Commons. So it has like a unique, their unique branding, taxonomy, permissions, things like that. And we do have a microsite partnership with the Career and Technical Education Consortium of Arizona. So you do need a login to be a part of this site. But just so you know, there is another OER initiative that is happening in your state, but this is more focused on that particular community. So this is the site, and you can, if you're interested in more about what this what this consortium is, there's a link to it there. But they do require that you submit a login to be a part of this work. So just wanted to share that to kind of connect the dots to that there is some awesome stuff happening in Arizona and in other areas of OER as well. Okay, so as we come to a close today, I hope I didn't, I hope this wasn't too much. You can always let me know. I love, critical feedback. So if you're like, this was too much to do, but we wanted to give you a good, intro here. But I would just love to know from you all, kind of what was helpful, today, maybe what you're excited about, what you want to share with others. Also, if there's anything specific you have in terms of feedback for the hub, the collections, the groups, I'd really just like to open it up to you all to share either in chat, or it's always great to hear your voice. What was helpful today, what you'd like to see, where you'd like this work to go, really anything that you'd like to share that's kind of coming up for you after everything that we looked at together.
any other questions for Megan regarding the hub? If you do have any feedback for so far, please feel free to email me or give me a call because this is customizable. We do want to make it a tool and a resource that, I mean, it's customizable to an extent, of course, but we will try to make it, we want to make this useful as possible.
Yeah, I know we went through a lot, and the rabbit hole, the tug, the tug of the rabbit hole is real. So I get that. And I know sometimes it's hard to kind of articulate everything that's going on in your mind after, exploring all this stuff. But I am going to, and I'll show you all how to do this so you can do it too. Because I would like to, keep this conversation and collaboration going in between the sessions that we have together. So I'm going to go ahead and pose a question for you all in our OER best practices group discussion. Thanks for joining. I see we have quite a few more members, which is awesome. Oh wait, not a question mark. So this is just a question I put in chat too, but just would love your input on what you'd like to see in the hub collections groups. So I'm going to go ahead and pose that question, and you all can reply to get familiar with how to use that tool, or you can share any reflections with us right now. Yeah, we really we're as Megan shared, we're kind of in this soft launch phase, so it's really helpful to know what is working for you, what isn't, what needs more clarity. If we want to remix that starter kit so that you can use it for your own work, or you can use it as you're sharing and advocating for this with others. Yeah, would just love any thoughts. Are always just super welcome, especially at this kind of beginning phase. I feel like we're still creating this world together, so yeah, I know it can be overwhelming, so sorry to and it's the end of the week too. I know it can be a lot to digest. Yeah, for the peer reviews, that's really where we use those you can do peer reviews on the resource itself by adding a comment, or actually using the Achieve rubric to do a more kind of thorough evaluation too, or a combination of both. But I have seen folks when they want feedback on a resource, especially because the nice thing is when you're in a group, your group members can see your drafts. So you can pose a discussion question and say, hey, I'm still in my first drafts of this resource and would love feedback. Please share in the group discussion if you want something a little bit more closed, or directly on the resource. Yeah, I don't think you get a notification when someone posts a discussion. So I think it's just for hub administrators get notifications, which I don't know, maybe Erin, you are a hub administrator, but I think for just general folks, yeah, I think just for general folks, they didn't want any notifications, so we just have it for the administrators. So yeah, I think I can check on that group and see if you're an administrator. Okay. Okay, thanks, Erin, for that feedback. All right. Well, I know that was a lot. Thanks for being on this journey with us. And we have more trainings to come, so it's really helpful just to know some of the interests around open pedagogy, peer review, a lot of interest around bringing things in from Canvas and that workflow. So we really want to customize these trainings to support you where you're at and what your priorities are. So feel free to share any of that information in our discussion, or I'll put my email here too. I know you've got Megan Crossfield too, but if you have specific things you want to let me know that can help inform how we support this work moving forward, I really appreciate it, because I'm not on your campus and I don't know what's going on. So any intel or insights you can share is super helpful. But with that, I'll hand it back to you, Megan, my Tokaya. How'd we do? Did we do okay? We ended 3 minutes early.
Yes, we got a lot of information, which was fantastic. So thank you so much for being here and helping us launch this hub. Got a lot of great comments. People are excited. So please, everyone, feel free to go in, continue using it, and give us feedback, because we do want to grow and expand it and make it as useful as possible. So I know it's been an extremely long day. But I do have a quick survey that I'm popping in the chat right now, just to give some feedback and also just to help guide us for, what would be great for our next training. And not only for the hub training, but also for any future trainings that we'll be doing as a consortium. So please take a couple minutes to complete it. I'll also send it out in a wrap-up email with the recordings and all the other information that was shared today as well. But other than that, I'm going to go on ahead and I'll stop the recording. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Please feel free to stick around for a couple minutes if you have questions or any other future comments.